If you are in your 20s and you're terrified of turning 30, you need to hear this. When I turned 29 years old, I had absolutely no idea that my 30s would look anything like what they look like now. If someone had told me that within a few years I'd be living in the UK, working as a diabetes specialist nurse, creating content online, creating books, and building a life I genuinely enjoy, I probably wouldn't have believed them. Looking back now at 34, I can honestly say that my 20s have been my most challenging decade. They were filled with uncertainty, disappointment, growth, and a lot of lessons I didn't quite understand at the time. But now that I'm in my 30s, I can fully understand why I had to go through those experiences. So, today I want to share 5 lessons I've learned in my 30s that I kind of wish I knew in my 20s. Let's get into it. Lesson 1: Life is not a race. It's not a race. There is no competition. One of the biggest mistakes I made in my 20s was believing that there was a timeline I had to follow. I thought that by 30, I'd be married, have kids, own a house, driving my dream car, making lots of money in my job. When I turned 29, I felt like I was failing because I was comparing my life to everyone else's highlight reels. Now I realized I wasn't falling behind at all. I am simply on a different timeline. Some of the biggest blessings in my life happened after I turned 30. I had spent all my energy worrying about all the things I didn't have. I would have missed out on all the things I was becoming. Lesson 2: Your greatest setbacks can become your greatest purpose. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned in my 30s is what sometimes feels like a setback can actually be setting you up for something bigger, greater, more amazing than you can imagine. So before I came to the UK, I've always said if I wanted to work in a hospital setting, I would prefer to work with patients who have mental health issues. Yeah, I like the science of mental health. I was intrigued by it. I was always reading something about mental health, watching movies about it. So that was where my interest lied. When I had the opportunity to come here, I did some research on the hospital and I realized that they did not have a mental health department, or mental health services wasn't something, mental health nursing was not something that they offered. So I said, cool, 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 cool. What's the next best thing? So I was looking through the different wards and I saw acute medicine and I'm like, okay, this doesn't seem too bad. It's not as busy as the ED and it sounds acute, so we won't be getting any long stays like on the wards. That's what I thought. Man, was I wrong. They placed me on acute medicine. It was fast paced, physically demanding, and completely different from what I was expecting. After my first 12-hour shift, I had to call in sick the next day. I couldn't move. My legs literally. He needs some milk. I couldn't get them off the bed. And I did contemplate if I made the right decision about coming to the UK because this war that I was on, cutthroat. But I stuck with it. I pushed through and I said, let me just do my time, do what I need to do and see where it goes. But looking back now, it actually was the best place for me to be. Because one, I got the opportunity to learn exactly how the NHS worked. I got experience with diabetic patients at all different stages with all different diabetic conditions. I also had experience with mental health patients, some with diabetes, some without, and I was able to get that experience I probably wouldn't have gotten on the ward Without realizing it, I was gaining the experience I needed to become a diabetes specialist nurse. And the same thing happened in different areas of my life. It took one of the hardest experiences of my life for me to decide that I wanted to help people with diabetes. It took 8 years of me working in call centers, even while going to nursing school, for me to realize that customer service isn't just for office settings. It's also applied in the hospitals, and it's something I use even to this day to talk to patients, to calm situations down, to help individuals who are frustrated or scared, to help de-escalate issues that was not in the curriculum at nursing school. So looking back, they all prepared me for this exact moment in my life. If you're going through a season where things aren't exactly unfolding as you planned, don't be so quick to call it failure. Sometimes what feels like a detour is actually leading you exactly where you need to be. Lesson 3, don't be afraid to start over. One of the scariest things that I did in my 20s was to live a life that was comfortable and I wasn't struggling. I lived with my family. I wasn't paying all the household bills or any bill. I was surrounded by people that I loved, and I had a home where I felt safe. From the outside, there really wasn't any reason for me to leave. But sometimes comfort can't give you the life that you're meant to have. When I moved to the UK, I wasn't just starting over in a new country, I was starting over in my career. As a newly arrived nurse, I was right back down at the bottom. If you're a nurse, you know exactly what that means. Newest nurses are often the ones who get the jobs nobody wants to do. So that's the heavier jobs, the messier jobs. And again, there were moments I questioned if I made the right decision. But the truth is, every difficult shift made me more confident. Every challenge made me more capable. And I now realize that growth rarely happens when you're comfortable. If I stayed where I was comfortable, I wouldn't have the life that I have today. And for that, I'm grateful. Lesson 4, invest in becoming your future self. One thing I learned in my 30s is that education doesn't stop when you leave school. In my late 20s, I spent money on courses, software, learning new skills, equipment, and it honestly did feel like I was just spending all this money. But looking back now, I was actually investing in myself. I learned graphic design using Canva, I learned video editing, I learned web design, learned freelancing, I learned business skills. None of those investments paid off overnight, but little by little, they've become part of the person I am today. One thing I realized, nobody can take your skills away from you. Money comes and it goes, jobs change, life changes. The knowledge and the skills that you invest in stays with you. You're wondering if it's worth taking that course, learning that new skill, investing in some type of equipment. My answer is going to be yes, because your future self will thank you for the decisions that you make today. Lesson 5. Trust God's timing. Final lesson I learned in my 30s is to trust God's timing even when I don't understand it. When I was in my 20s and things didn't work out, I always found myself, why is this happening to me? Why me? Why? Now in my 30s, I find myself asking, what is this preparing me for? As I reflect on my life, I'm realizing that a lot of the disappointments were actually redirections. Some doors closed because I wasn't meant to go through them. Some opportunities didn't work out because something better was in store. But looking back, I honestly believe that some of those moments were some of God's greatest acts of protection and guidance in my life. And because of everything I've experienced, I've just become so much at peace when things don't work out how I want. Of course, I'm still disappointed. I'm human, but I don't stay disappointed for long. Instead, I just remind myself that if this didn't work out, this was not for me. I'm probably dodging a bullet. And just that frame of mind, that mindset, it brings me so much comfort, so much peace. I've also learned not to rush every decision. When something doesn't feel very certain, I like to pause. Sometimes we feel pressure to make immediate decisions. But I found some of the greatest clarity comes when I can stop, reflect, pray, and just think and just allow things to unfold naturally. And over the years, I can say God has placed some amazing people in my life. Has been supportive managers, colleagues, mentors, friends, or complete strangers. I have met people at the exactly right time. So if you're in your 20s and life doesn't exactly look the way you hoped it to be, don't lose heart. You may not understand the journey while you're walking through it. Please don't panic if life doesn't turn out the way you expected. Keep learning, keep growing, trust the process, trust God's timing. Your story is still being written. If this video encouraged you, I'd love to know which lesson resonated with you the most. Leave it in the comments below. And whatever stage you are in your life, remember this: you're not behind, you're becoming.